ja, sondern er hat auch zusätzlich zu dem, was er im Trading auf die Beine gestellt hat, damit mit Quadrex eine Strategie, die über die letzten Jahre einen krassen Track Record, eine krasse Performance aufgebaut hat, ja, ihm ein Leben in kompletter Freiheit beschert hat und er auch damit so vielen Leuten helfen konnte, in kompletter Freiheit zu leben. Und was für mich einfach sehr inspirierend ist, auch wie er sein Leben gestaltet, wird er vielleicht gleich ein kleines bisschen erzählen. So, er lebt off-grid in Portugal, ist dorthin ausgewandert, na, und macht einfach mit seinem Leben, was er damit machen möchte. Und ich finde es sehr, sehr krass, weil man von ihm nicht nur im Trading über die Strategie was lernen kann, sondern so viel heftige Punkte für Psychologie, für Mindset, auch wie er Gym durchzieht, die Ernährung, wie er off-grid da sein Leben aufbaut. Es ist wirklich crazy und inspirierend und er ist für das, was er erreicht hat, so unglaublich bodenständig, so weit im Kopf. Deswegen bin ich unglaublich dankbar, dass er sich heute die Zeit genommen hat, hier auf diesem Call zu sprechen. Leute, lasst den Chat mal brennen. For our amazing educator Jens Vandebroeke. Bro, I already told everybody about you, who you are, but I'm so excited for your parts. Thank you, bro, for taking the time. Let's go.
All right, all right, all right. Can everyone hear me loud and clear? Let me know if you can. Unfortunately, I'm plugging in through the phone, through mobile. I don't like to do that, to be honest. I like to plug in through the laptop, but we have to roll with it. I just finished an amazing session here of Muay Thai, so I'm kind of exhausted, but and a little out of breath. But we're gonna get this working. So first of all, I want to extend my gratitude to Robin for the invite on the call, and not only that, but over the last couple months and weeks actually, he has been the one translating the live sessions. And I think those are the people like the translators, the tech team, all those people. You don't see their faces, right? But they are waking up every single day. They're putting in the work. They're showing up. They're doing live sessions just as the educators are doing them. And I believe that they deserve some more recognition for that because that's some hard work. I never translated someone on a call before, but I can imagine it's kind of hard to do. So next to, of course, being an amazing leader, an amazing person, also now the translator is just amazing. And I think you do a lot of sessions, right, Robin? I think you translate like 20 hours a week or something. It's crazy. So thank you and much gratitude for that. Today I want to talk about, Robin shared a bit more about this team and about what this team is really looking for and what can help you guys move forward, right? And I prepared some slides. I don't really like to use too many slides, but I know I would be in a rush right now and on the road right now, so I want to have like a hold on, that I can hold on to for this presentation. So I think Robin has my slides and he can share and show them, so we can all see it. I don't know if he's already. Yeah, I muted myself there for a second. Sorry for that. So
Guys,
I
can
muted.
you all see the screen really good?
Looking for the. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. That's amazing. By the way, if my connection is bad, there is too much wind or whatever, there's something wrong with the sound or the connection, just let me know in the chat. But yeah, so what I want to talk about on this team call for the elite team, right? That's what I understood that you guys are. So that's amazing. On the next slide, the first thing I want to talk about, um, oh, it's a bit laggy, is what is your vision? And I think that's a big question. Looking from, I know a lot of you guys are plugged into the sessions. You probably know what my vision is and where I really want to go. But on the next slide, I go a bit deeper on that, where I believe first you need to understand success before you can include success into your vision. Okay, some people with no money are very very successful, and other people have more money than they can spend, but they are the biggest failures of all. And I think Robbie might probably relate with that. He's living in, I believe he lived in Dubai for a long time. You see a lot of money there. You see a lot of flashy stuff there. But at the same time, you see some people that have millions and they're still miserable. So are they then successful? Right? So first you want to define what is success to you. And I think a very important or powerful audio with that is the strangest secrets of Earl Nightingale. That's the first thing I would write down. I got this recommendation from Dan Jukes, an amazing trader, amazing leader within our company, within our community. And he told me, like, every member that starts with me, the first thing they do is not the basics. The first thing they do is not anything else. It's listen to the 30-minute audio, The Strangest Secret from Earl Nightingale. And what does he talk about? One of the things he says, and I'll try to quote it. He says it in his own words, but he says, success is really choosing to do something and then go do it, right? So success is the teacher that wants to become the teacher and does it very well. Success is the farmer that wants to become a farmer and does it very well. Success is a trader that wants to become a trader and does it very well because they choose to do something and then they go do it. And that's what success is really is, right? So you can't really measure success, in my opinion, if you talk about, ask about my vision. You can't really measure success with any money, any lifestyle, any whatever, because some people, they might chase money and a lifestyle and the success as we see it on Instagram. They might chase that as they are running away from the real thing they want, right? So what do I mean by that? Some people just want to have a happy family but maybe something happens. So what they start doing is they start throwing all that emotion into work because they think they will be happy once they are successful. But if you are not happy, unsuccessful, how are you going to be happy when you're successful? Because if that success is not what really is what you want, then there is no point of getting it. Does that make sense? Right? And I'm not the guy that says money doesn't make happiness, because I believe a lot of things can be solved with money. Okay. But like true success and fulfillment, and if we talk about vision, there is more than numbers on the screen. Okay. And if we go to the next slide, I go a bit deeper into my vision on that. Because to understand success, you also need to understand failure, right? Some people with no money are very successful again, but some are failures that have a lot of money. So then what is a failure to you? You can either lose or you can learn, right? We have a learn now platform. Does a stop loss mean that we lose? No, it means that we learn. Now, a stop loss can mean that we lose, because I see a lot of people and I hear a lot of people talk about, hey, but I'm not a loser, I'm a learner, but they keep making the same mistake. If you can do it once, you can do it twice, you can do it 3 times, you can do, but at some point, I will have to call you a loser instead of a learner, right? And that's not in a traditional way of, hey, you're a loser, like I'm cursing at you. You're just a guy or a girl that is losing. And the cool thing about it is you can actually switch that in a heartbeat, because you can switch your mentality from the loser's mentality to the learner mentality, and that's how you define failure, right? All failure is psychological until that, and even then, even then. So all failure is psychological, and once you know that all failure is psychological, it doesn't really matter. It's all inside your head, right? So, but of course, you need to start learning from your failures. Because if you make a mistake, I made a mistake on the charts a couple of weeks ago. If I go make that mistake again, am I a learner or am I a loser? Pretty much a loser, because I'm losing twice. In Dutch, there is this expression. I don't know if it's the same expression in other languages, but the expression is, even a donkey doesn't bump his foot into the same stone twice. Like, in English, that doesn't make sense at all. But even a donkey doesn't bump his foot to the same stone twice. That's a Dutch expression. And some of us are more stupid than donkeys because we tend to bump our foot in the same stone again and again and again. And that's what I call a loser. Now, on to the next slide. When we talk about really like my personal vision, I believe we are here in the game of money. Whether you like it or not, 99% of the people must play this game of money to succeed. Okay. If you don't play the game of money, you don't succeed. What do I mean? If you don't go to work and earn money, if you don't receive cash or payment on your bank account, or crypto payments or any form of payments into your account, you don't have any income, you don't have any money, then it's not gonna work, right? So you need money, because we play in this world, again, like it or not, but 99% of the people must play the game of money to succeed. Now, you can choose how you play the game. You can trade time for money, right? You can trade currencies for money. You can trade crypto for money. You can trade stocks for money. You can do whatever. but you will have to play the game of money if you want to become successful. Why? Because success at the end of the day is not having an abundance of material. It's not having an abundance of flashy stuff. It's having an abundance of options. You know, but and again, like it or not, but in our world, if you want to have options, you need to have money. Money opens doors, and it is what it is. Now there is another way to win, to succeed, in my opinion. This is all my opinion, but in my opinion, there's another way to succeed next to the game of money. And on the next slide, you'll see a bit more about that because oh no, I didn't include that. Sorry, guys. But so when you look at the game of money, right? Before I go into the next slides, before I go into my vision within, right? When you look to the game of money, the one thing you can do is you can choose to not participate. But how can you not participate in the game of money and still keep options, right? Because the real success to me is having options. It's like being free. It's not having to do stuff. Like that's my definition of success, is being free in the options of your location, your time, and your energy, and choosing that for yourself, choosing what you think, choosing what you say, choosing what you do, right? But you can play it inside the game of money where you need to make a lot of money to make it fun. Let's be honest, if you're making like 3,000 a month right now and you live somewhere in Germany or Belgium or whatever, you might be able to live a proper life, but you won't have much freedom. You won't have much experiences like traveling, like crazy stuff that you want to do. So you don't have much options. Your options are limited, or you choose to actually think outside the box and do something else, which is not playing the game of money at all. And that's what I'm doing. For example, here in Portugal, I'm building an off-grid, self-sustainable piece of land. And I believe maybe it's too big of a challenge. I'm not sure. But I believe there is two ways to be successful. For my definition, it's either with a lot of money or with a piece of land that generates more than enough for you and your family to live. And you can live from the land, you can live from what you plant, you can live from all of that, right? But the crazy thing is, a lot of people start this off-grid kind of self-sufficient thing. It's very trendy nowadays, and a lot of people want to start that because they don't have any money. But I can tell you, if you don't have any money, it's going to be very hard to start that, right? Because the goal is, at the end of the day, the goal in my vision there is to not need money at all. But I still need it to buy the land. I still need it. Like we had a flood a couple of weeks ago. We probably had like 5 grand or 5K in damages just from some water, and that's not even too much. But on a $3,000 a month income, you're not going to be able to invest in, like, let's say buy 100 trees because you want to have trees. 100 trees costs a lot of money. You know what a tractor costs? Like if you want to fuel a tractor or just buy a tractor, you can. I learned stuff. It's 100K for a fucking tractor. Sorry for my language, guys, but you still need a lot of money. So at the end of the day, you need to play the game of money. And even if you want to play outside of that game, you still need some money to jump outside, to make that jump, to get out of the bucket, right? And those two venues of success is the both venues that I'm seeking. And that's my vision. So maybe it's too big of a challenge to win inside and outside the game, but we're going to do it. And that's a bit of my vision, right? So I don't want to go too long into that, but I know Robin asked me to really talk about my vision and go deeper into that, even outside the business. And that's really what it is for me. I love Dubai. I love sport cars. I love the flashy stuff. But to be honest, I love my piece of land more. I love chopping wood more. And I might buy a nice car later, but first I'm going to plant some trees. First I'm going to, and that's my vision, to win both inside and outside the game of money. Now, on to the next slide, because I'm getting too long into this topic, right? So my vision with Zinright is to educate and show as much people as possible what is really possible here, right? As I stated here, educate thousands around the world and show them there are other ways to achieve that so-called success. So, have a great night. People are getting out to the gym here, but so that's really my vision when it comes to Zinright, and mainly because I've been looking for an opportunity like this for years. I'm now 24. I started looking for this when I was 16 years old. I did a trip to Thailand with my family and I saw another life. I saw it was basically another planet. You know, I've never been outside of Europe except there then. And that was just so eye-opening to me. You know, my dad, he gave us some change and I was 16 years old. I was already working for 2 years in like our bar and stuff like that. And I had maybe 200 euros. 200 euros to spend on a 2 week vacation, that's not much, right? But I'm a 16-year-old kid. And I remember getting like 6,000 baht or something. It's like the Thai currency, right? And those 6,000 bahts, they bought me maybe 15 massages and all the crazy stuff. And I felt like I was the G, 16-year-old, together with my brother. He was 15. We were going to nightclubs, drinking, partying. It was not good. It was crazy. But I felt free. I felt like, whoa, this is my first experience in a completely different climate, different people, crazy environment. And that's really where I switched, something switched in me. And I was like, okay, I need to be able to live this life every single day. I don't need my parents to save up a whole year to then spend 20 grand on 2 week vacation with 6 people, right? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense at all. I want to be able to live this 20 grand for 2 week vacation. I want to be able to do this 52 weeks a year. And if there's people that are doing it, then I can do the same. So I started looking for online courses, mainly in the e-commerce space, because that was really hot and bumping it at the time. And I bought 7 courses. Each of them were like a down payment of 2 or 3K euros, right? So think about, I was working for 10 euro an hour at a bar. I was working probably next to school 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week. It was crazy. I was working nights, sleeping in school in the day. That was really how crazy I was. But I knew what I wanted, right? And I know how hard it was to not be understood. I know how hard it was to spend 10,000 euros in 2 years of time. Spend 10,000, that's everything I made, by the way. I know how hard it was to do that and not even having the opportunity to talk someone face to face. Because I bought a course for $2,000. I got some videos, I got some live sessions, some group calls. But to be able to talk to someone person, like one to one on a Zoom call, I had to pay another $300 for 30 minutes. I didn't have that. It was 30 hours of work for me, and experiencing that and being so down and doubting myself and never seeing any result for 2 years straight before finding this community, that me, I know there are a lot of those out there. I know there are a lot of people out there that are looking for an opportunity, that are hungry, that are thirsty, that are starving to make a change in their lives. And my vision with Zinrai is to be that person, that hand that reaches out and that's like, hey, here is a place for you. Okay, so that's my vision with Zinrai. And wherever Zinrai wants to take it, I'm going with it. If you go to Germany, the Bahamas, to Singapore, Tokyo, I don't care. As long as we can impact and help as many people as possible. Okay, so on to the next one. Because I'm not only here to talk about my vision, I'm also here to talk a little bit about the Quadrex tool. For those that know my sessions, you already know. But I have a very simple strategy that we use on the Quadrex scanner. We are actually now in profit running on USD CHF, you will see. But Quadrex is basically an algorithm. It's a scanner. It's like a trading view, right? But it has a cool filter. It has a cool, what's it called? Indicator on top of it. It's a bit more than an indicator, but hey, the first thing is it will color a background. So out of the 28 major Forex pairs that exist, I don't want to analyze 28 charts every single day. Even if one pair only takes 2 minutes or 5 minutes, let's say analyzing a pair takes 5 minutes. You need to analyze 5 minutes a day for 28 pairs. I don't know. I don't even know how many hours that is, but that's a lot. I don't want to do that. I want to be free. I want to have options. So the coloring background will actually filter out already half of the list. This week we have a long list, but usually we have like a list of 5 to 10 pairs that are trending. So if you have a green background, it's an uptrend. If you have a red background, it's a downtrend. Simple. In green background, uptrend, we only buy. In downtrend, we only sell. So that increases our chances already, right? Then we have arrows that will print. Quadrex will print arrows, dark shade arrows, light shade arrows, all the good stuff. I only use the dark shade arrows. Why? They are less, but more effective, more accurate. And I like to do less is more. I already have less charts because of the coloring in the background. I already have less plays because I choose the dark shade arrows. So I will have the highest accuracy. And then we wait for a 2-day pullback before we validate an arrow. So before an arrow can be valid, we wait for a 2-day pullback. And then we have an M or a W pattern. Now, this sounds like a lot, but you will see in the next slides, it's pretty simple. This is what a dark shade arrow looks like. It's a triangle, you know. I think we learned that when we were 3 or 4, the difference between a triangle, a rectangle, a circle, all of the good stuff. So that's not easy to recognize. You can actually see some of the triangles here on the next slide. Yeah, the next slide. Step 2, you can see at the left we have a light shade arrow. Then we have a dark shade arrow. Then we have another dark shade arrow. And then we have the last dark shade arrow. Why didn't I take the first 2? I only took the last because I wait for the 2-day pullback. So whenever I'm going to buy the market, I'm waiting for the market to come down 2 days. You know, you want to buy as low as possible, right? So why don't let it come down for 2 days? Of course, that's not the only reason. We have some statistics to back this up, but we've seen that the results have been amazing with that. Now, on the next slide, you will see the last confirmation, and that's the W pattern. The most important thing here is that we have a higher low. You can see the higher low, right? It's the second leg of the W. That's pretty simple. Yeah. Why? It's been coming down for 2 days. If it's coming down for 2 days, what it's been doing? Creating lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, right? And now all of a sudden we see a higher low. That's a change of the trajectory that we already have. That's a big indication that we can potentially, start to see a reversal in this market. Put a 1 in the chat if this still makes sense. Even if you don't have any experience, you're like, if I would study this stuff for about 2 hours, I would probably start to understand, right? Well, I got good news for you because we got a boot camp that's actually translated in German. I don't know if Robin did that, but props for that. I saw it yesterday in the back office. I got a bootcamp that's actually translated in German, and that bootcamp is like 11 videos. It's maybe like 2 hours of video material, or even less, like 1 hour maybe of video material. But if you spend 3 hours on that video material, on that course, you will really learn a lot about, about this strategy and about the steps. So you don't need to learn from 5 minutes of me just talking on the Zoom call. You can actually go, take your time, study, take notes, and then come to the live sessions. For example, tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Now, next to that, this is a play of last week, Euro GBP. And that's the cool stuff. You can start playing with this, right? So we had an entry, but it was a bit tricky. You can see that. The first entry, do you see the W? We had one arrow, the dark shade arrow, most to the left. It's like right after the bump down in the market where it rejected very hard. It shot up again. But that wasn't really, a good W. So we waited a little bit. And then we see it creates a clear higher low. That's where I drew the rectangle, if you can see that, right? And boom, we got another arrow. So I got in. Now I got in, and I must say, that was like a full day of drawdown. I was like, what's happening? No, of course, you're going to have losses. I don't mind the drawdown. But usually the losses go fast, the wins go fast. So this was an exceptional play. But what happens is we go into drawdown, and we actually create an equal low. Now, our stop loss is below the low, not on the low. That's important. It's below the low, so it doesn't kick us out when we have an equal low there, right? And it gives us another arrow. This second arrow, if you miss the first one, you have the opportunity to actually catch the 1 to 5.6 or 1 to 6 risk to reward that you see here. Usually we only go for the 1 to 2, but you can target the final profits because we already had the first play going, right? I took both of them, of course, because I'm a bit more experienced. You want to have, the right risk management when you're doing this. But this play alone, can give you a total of 1 to 7, 1 to 8 of total profit, right? Because you have a 1 to 1, you have a 1 to 2 that hit full profit, and then you have the 1 to 5 that also hit full profit, right? That's how you can start to play with it once you learn how to anticipate on this tool. how to anticipate maybe the light shade arrows, like the 3 light shade arrows you see there. Oh, that's an indication too. We don't really take them, but if they come, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna get out of my trade. It's an extra confirmation for me. See? So you get to really start to understand instead of just copy and pasting some rules, right? Now, this is the example of today. I took the screenshot a couple hours ago. I think right now we're probably closer to target 1. But for selling scenarios, it's the same. So at the orange circle to the left, you can actually see the start of the pullback. It starts going up. Why is a pullback up? That's weird. A pullback should be down, right? No. In this case, if we're looking to sell, right, the background is red. So since the background is red and we're looking to sell, we want to make profit down, right? And that was weird for me. How can you make profit when the market's going down? I'm not going to get into technicals of that, but that's because you're trading a currency pair, right? You're not trading a single asset. You're not just buying Bitcoin. You're not just buying Euro. You're not just buying a stock. That's singular asset buying, investing, right? But if you're trading a pair, one can go down, but the other one is going up. Duh. If the one is going down, the other is going up. So you can make money both ways. Now, if we're shorting, so we're looking for sells, we're looking to make money on the way down, then guess what a pullback is going to be? A pullback is going to be a move up. Now, this has a very clean M pattern. I think you can see that. Very clean. You have the top high, comes down, it creates a lower high, and boom, we have our dark shade arrow. We even had a break of structure down, so that's an extra confirmation. It's not required, but it's an extra confirmation to have that break of structure to the downside, which is actually the lower low. Lower low, right? Because we have the lower high, cool. But then if you have the lower low as well, you break structure, right? For the people that know BOS and some of the other terminology. Now, this is a trade we have open and running. It might just go to stop loss. We don't know, and I don't care. Because I know with this system, I tracked hundreds of trades. And over like 8 months, we did 101 trades, and we had 13 losses. And of those 13 losses, to be honest, 4 of them was my mistake. It was not even the strategy. So anyway, the accuracy has been pretty high. And I can't really talk about the numbers as in it's, for compliance. So whenever I'm talking about numbers, I'm not promising anything for the future. Robin is probably in my private story. I post my losses in my private story sometimes, and then I'm like, past drawdown doesn't guarantee future losses. It's a joke, of course, but it's the same for profit. So past profits doesn't guarantee future results, as you all know. But it's just what it is, and we just use a proven system. So on to the next. What's the most important? And that's the last thing and the most important to actually grasp, because I can understand that Quadrex might not be for everyone. It might be my strategy, it might not be yours, and that's completely fine. Now, the last and most important thing here to talk about is a framework that you need to apply in any strategy. If there is any trader on this earth that is long-term successful and is not applying these principles, I don't think that exists. Okay? So the first thing you need is a trading plan. I like to call this objective trading system. Why? Because plans can change. And I like to be objective, and I like to have a system. A system tends to work repeatedly, right? A system tends to automate over time. A system tends to simplify. So that's why objective trading system. Now, objective is an important aspect there. It's an important word, because if I look at the market and you look at the market, we might see different things. If you put 100 traders in front of gold right now, and you ask 100 traders, is gold in an uptrend or a downtrend? You will probably get 50-50 in answers. Half will say up, half will say down. That's like not objective at all. If we have 100 traders looking at Quadrex, asking, is it the green or a red background? I hope all 100 say the green background. Or they're colorblind, right? Maybe 1% will not get it, but you get the point. That's objective. The W, lower high. The M pattern, lower high. That's objective, right? We even have the 2-2-2-2 rule for every leg. Like, you can watch the boot camp for that. we have objectification rules to make sure that when you look at the market and I look at the market, we see the same thing. When you look at the market and I look at the market, we execute the same thing. Because at the end of the day, the only job you have as a trader, I'm getting a lot of messages here. Give me a second. Okay, I'm still on time, right? Still got like 5 more minutes. Oh, the chat is like this. That's crazy. Put a
Yes,
one in the chat if I still got 5 more minutes.
yes, yes, you have.
Perfect. Perfect. Then I'll do another 5 minutes and we'll bounce. But anyway, I just got distracted a little bit with like the time and the messages. But what's important is your goal as a trader, right? Your goal as a trader is to find a winning strategy. And well, lucky you found Zinrai. There is no strategy on Zinrai that doesn't work. By the way, there is no recipe in any of the chefs are teaching that's not super delicious, right? If you want to compare this to cooking, so the only thing you need to learn is to apply the recipe. And the good thing is you don't even need to remember. You can put papers down, you can print PDF, you can print whatever. I even wrote a whole ebook about this, right? So you can use all of that. This is no exam where you can't, oh, don't look at the neighbor's paper. Who cares? We can all look at each other's paper because we're all having the same system. So that's the first thing. And long story short, you can go to the last, yeah. Long story short, the previous slide with like the trading plan, it's just when do I get in, when do I get out. I have a 3-step checklist. You can have a 75-step checklist. I don't give a beep. I don't care what your checklist is. You know, it's when to enter and when to exit. Right? Now, if we go one slide back, the second step is the risk management part. The risk management is very important because that's how much you enter and exit. Okay, we can trade a risk reward of 1 to 5, but if you risk 1% on that play, and you're like, oh, I'm the man, I'm the woman, you know, I own this chart. We all felt that way. I felt that. Oh, I muted myself now. I felt that way yesterday. I own this chart. Let's go. I'm the boss now. You're not. I'll tell you that. Even if you have a win streak, even if you make thousands in a day, you know, we've all been there. We've all done that. And then we feel like the man, the woman, the boss. And then you start risking more. And what happens is now the profit you made on a 1 to 5 is the loss you make on the next one. But if you make a 1 to 5 in profit and you lose one trade, you should still be up 1 to 4. You should still be up 4%, maybe 8%, maybe 12%, depending if you risk 1, 2, 3% of your account. But what do people do? They risk 1%, they make 5. Boom, they're happy. Then they risk 10% and they lose. Now you're down 10%, right? So how much you enter needs to be consistent. I don't care. And, you know, I can't really say this. I wanted to say I don't care how much you risk, but I do care. I know some people that are very aggressive and that are risking like 6 or 7, 8% on a trade. Nah, you know, that's aggressive. I don't like it. But if you do that, if you keep it the same and you never lose like 5 trades in a row, you're never going to blow your account. That's just simple mathematics. Again, I don't recommend it. It can be an emotional roller coaster to see half your account gone after losing 5 trades. So don't do that. But still, you know. Now, the other thing on the risk management, which is very important, is knowing the compounding effect against you. Okay. So when you lose like 20%, you may need to make 25% to make it back. That's an extra 5% inflation. We call it inflation or interest or whatever you want to call it. It's taxes, right? If you lose 50% of your account, you need to make 100 to make it back. That's 50% taxes. Sounds pretty Belgian to me. Now, anyway, enough with the jokes. You want to risk 1 to 3% per trade because losing 1%, you need to make 1.02 to make it back. We'll be able to make 1.02. If you lose 2%, you need to make 2.04 to make it back. Okay, you know, that's not too much of the tax, too much of the compound against you, if that makes sense. Okay, so the risk management, because I'm getting off track a little bit, but the risk management is very important. Now you know in the first pillar of trading, what is your entry and exit? And to be honest, in my opinion, if you're a beginner or maybe advanced, I don't care. You should have even like plastified. Is that a word? Laminated is the word. It's like the plastic paper, right? You should have a laminated piece of paper with like a line, a vertical line, and on the left of the line, you write down when do I enter. You write down Dark Shade Arrow, 2-day pullback, M or W. Cool. At the right side, or you write down any strategy you trade. I don't care what strategy you trade. At the right side, you write down when do I exit. Oh, I exit when I hit stop loss, take profit, break even, or news. Cool. Pretty straightforward to me, right? So now I can start following my trading system, following the first pillar. Then the second pillar, the risk management. Okay, how much do I risk per trade? Most people know that. But my question to you is, do you know how much you risk per day? Do you know how much you risk per week? When do you stop trading? When you're on a win streak, right? Give yourself a playing field. That's what I like to call it. When it comes to risk management, give yourself a playing field. And you have certain boundaries that you don't cross. And you can reward yourself if you've been trading in for a month and you've been sticking to your plan and you've been playing inside your playing field, coloring inside the lines. Maybe you can make your playing field a little bigger, right? You start off, I risk 1% per trade. Then I risk 3% per day. And I risk 5% per week. So now I know, okay, I have $1,000 on my account. Hypothetical, right? I have $1,000 on my account. On this trade, I can lose $10. Today, I can lose $30. This week, I can lose $50. So I already mentally agree. And in some periods of my life, as a trader, in my trading career, I really talk to myself in the mirror on Sunday evening. I look in the mirror like a crazy person. And I'm like, hey, Jens, today I'm talking to you because in the next 5 days, something can happen. And my account can go from 1,000 to 950. And I already mentally agree with that. What happens? My emotions are already detached before I even enter the charts. Sometimes I was sick of myself, talking in the mirror. So I made a contract with myself, a written contract. I am Jens, and it's 2023, and I'm 22 years old, and blah, 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 blah. And as a trader, I agree that I'm not going to risk more than this. And as a trader, I agree that I'm willing to lose. I even stated like this, I'm willing to pay $50 to the market this week to learn whatever I'm going to learn. Isn't that cool? Isn't that fun? So I already paid it. When I funded an account, I acted as if I was buying shoes and lost the shoes. I bought $200 shoes and I lost my shoes. So now I lost $200. Cool. I just put the $200 in a trading account, but mentally I tricked myself to be able to be comfortable that I already lost the money that I'm risking. Does that make sense? Now, the playing field you want to use not only in the negative, but also in the positive. If I have three wins in a day, I quit. I'm done. 3 wins, 6%. Yeah. I risk 2% per trade, right? So 3 wins for me would be technically 12%. 12%, I'm done. So I know when I wake up, either my account is going to go down 3% or it's going to be up 12. Or it's going to go down 6%, it's going to be up 12, right? But I already know 940 or 1,120, somewhere in between, my account balance is going to land today. And whatever happens, I'm already happy and grateful. For the week, I knew the max I could make was 24%. Now, let's be honest. 24% in a week? I maxed that out 2 weeks. I did that 2 weeks, right? Where I maxed out, I had to quit trading on Thursday. Cool. Why? What could you possibly do better than do 24 damn percent a week? And again, sorry for my language, Robin. I hope that you guys can handle that. But let's be honest. You don't need to do anything more than that. So I knew and I agreed. Whatever happens, that's my playing field. Okay. So those are some tips and tricks. But again, I can't explain everything that I do on the boot camp in like 5 minutes here or 10 minutes here on the call. So definitely go watch the bootcamp, plug into the sessions. And the last thing is the journaling. You basically go and you journal. What did your system do? Yeah, right? Like I stated here, what did you perform? And what did your strategy perform? Because every week you can go back and back test. Every Sunday, every Saturday, go back and back test. What did Quadrex do if you just follow the strategy? And then you see last week, we did at least a 1 to 4 in total risk reward. At least. How much did I do? I did a 1 to 7. Okay, cool. Right? You know, maybe some people did -1. You did -1, but we should have done +4. What happened? Oh, I was sleeping. Okay, fine. Oh, I was actually emotional and I got out the trade too soon because we were in drawdown for a whole day, and that got me frustrated. That got me impatient. Oh, cool. Now we got something to journal. We got a mistake that we made. And that brings me to the beginning of the call. What is success? What is failure? Are you a loser or are you a learner? Right? That's what we talked about in the beginning. So those are the things that are very important when you look at the strategy, performance, and you. And I went deeper into journaling today on the session, so definitely go and rewatch that session. It's like the last 15 minutes maybe that I go deeper into that. But I feel like you should journal 2 times. You should journal first, just right after your session. And are there gamers on the call? Some people that like to game, Call of Duty, GTA, for sure. I like to do some Call of Duty Black Ops 2, right? I like to play first person view. That's what I do after the training session. I journal my first person view, my emotions, what I feel, how I feel. I got a headache. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. I need to be fast. I need to be down. Oh, I'm happy. I'm grateful. I'm patient. I'm sticking to my plan. I actually cleaned up my room. I'm actually, pretty good vibration. Cool. You journal whatever the situation was, and you can state some questions if you want to bring structure into that. You can state a question. Okay, how did you feel? What were you thinking about? What was the location you were trading from? Last week I was on a plane, and I was copying pasting Nina's IDs when the plane was driving. That was not good. I still had profit, so I'm fine. But maybe that's not the best environment to trade in when the plane is driving and you're about to disconnect from the world for about 4 hours, right? So those things should be in your journal because those are the moments you make mistakes. I know Nina Santiago, for example, she can trade when she's in the kindergarten, like the indoor playground for children. I could never focus. That's like hell to me. She can just she can trade, she can analyze, she can do whatever. That's amazing. But I need to take that in consideration because that environment will affect my decision making. And my decision making is going to affect the performance of my strategy, especially. No, it's not going to affect the performance of my strategy. Let me correct myself. It's going to affect the performance of me. And the comparison with my strategy, it's going to be a bigger gap in between because I'm making mistakes. Does that make sense? So the first time you journal is right after the session. That's your first person view. The second time you journal is at the end of the week. That's your third person view. You step out of yourself. You take your drone, your helicopter view, whatever you want to call it. You step out of that first person view and you look at, hey, Jens, what did you do this week? Right? Right? You can even look at that from an investor standpoint, as if you are an investor investing in you, because you actually are. You are the investor, you are the trader, you are the everything here. Because you want to have control for yourself. And I encourage that. I admire that. But you need to step out of one role sometimes to actually observe objectively the other role, if that makes sense. Right? So that's the second time I journal. First is after the session to journal the first person experience. It's like in a notebook. Second time is the third person view. And that's when I just journal as if it's like a back test, when I'm back testing, when I'm going, and I'm just reflecting. And then I compare the back test to what I did. And then I start to see the flaws that caused my mistakes. And that's how I improve. And that's how I advance. And that's how I systematically and objectively approach my journey inside the markets. Okay. So I went a little over time. Sorry, guys. Sorry for that. I know I should have kept it around 35 minutes, I think, but this is at least 40. So I'm going to give it back to Robin. If there is any questions, anything I can help with, just let me know. I hope you had some value out of this, from the vision to like the quadrex to the systems, the pillars, and stuff like that. But if you want to learn more about that, definitely follow me on Learn Now. Plug into the live sessions, check the boot camp, and if you want to learn more about the off-grid stuff, you can find me on Instagram. So thank you, Robin, for the invite, for the trust, and whenever you guys need me, whenever I can help, just reach out, let me know. We'll see each other in Frankfurt, Germany, for sure. Let's go.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, bro, for taking so much time, for sharing so much